my executive assistant, got a phone call from a lady in Birmingham, Alabama. At the end of the conversation, she said, Zig, she said, I believe this woman thinks she's got an impossible problem, but I believe you can solve that problem with her in just a few minutes if you will spend that time with her. I said, well, Laurie, tell her to meet me backstage. I'll get there about 10 minutes early. My schedule was such that was about all I had. Well, I got there, and I was on backstage behind the curtain on one side. She spotted me from the other side, and as she walked across the stage, I have never seen as much anger in a human being in my life as I saw in her. She almost started crying when she saw me. She said, oh, I'm just so glad to see you. I got this horrible job. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate everybody down there. I mean, you talking about negative nails, she was it. She said, can you help me? Now, understand, I've only got about 10 minutes. So I looked at her, and one thing I have learned, I don't do counseling, but I talk with a lot of people who do, in psychology, psychiatry, and the ministry. And they tell me that everybody who comes to you with a problem are not necessarily looking for a solution. I couldn't understand that for a long time. Why do they bring you a problem if they don't want to solve it? Well, I can tell you why. They want to tell you about it, you about it, you about it, you about it, and you about it. And if you foul up the deal and solve the problem, they can't tell you again, you again. They want the attention that goes with the problem, and every company just about it has that kind of an individual. They want the attention that goes with griping and complaining. Well, I looked at the lady, and it wasn't unkindly, but firmly I said to her, yes, and you know, ma'am, I'm afraid your problem is about to get worse. She said, what do you mean? I said, I believe they're going to fire you. She was stunned. I couldn't have stunned her more if I'd hit her in the face with a bucket of ice water. She said, fire me? Why on earth would they fire me? The inflection in her voice clearly said, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy. Why don't they fire them and keep me? Have you ever noticed that people who are the problem never recognize that they are? They're in complete denial. They think denial is just a river in Egypt. Why would they fire me? I said, ma'am, I don't believe there's a company in America big enough to contain this much poison in one small spot. Have you ever noticed that when somebody is about to lose something they've been complaining about, whether it's a car, a home, a mate, a job, or whatever, when all of a sudden it appears they're going to lose them, it takes on brand new value. She looked at me and said, well, what can I do? I said, do you really want to know? She said, yes, I do. That's the reason I came to see you. I came looking for help, but you sure haven't been any help so far. I said, well, ma'am, I've got an idea, and I will absolutely guarantee you it positively, definitely, absolutely will work if you will just do it. She said, I'll try anything within reason. I said, okay, when you get home tonight, all of your household tasks are complete. It's bedtime. Get off in a room right by yourself. Get a sheet of paper out, and at the top of it write, I like my job because. She interrupted me. She said, that'll be easy. I don't like nothing about that job. Don't like nothing about those people down there. And I said, well, just as a matter of curiosity, do you work there for benevolent reasons, or do they pay you for working there? She said, well, I got to confess, they pay me. And I said, and you don't like to be paid? Oh, she said, yes, I do. I said, okay, tell you what you do. Open your notebook right now. We'll start our list of the things you like about your job. They pay you for working there, and you do like it, don't you? She said, absolutely. But she just stood there. I said, no, open your notebook now, and we'll get busy on the list. She just stood there. I said, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience in life has been. I've discovered that in 100% of the cases, no exceptions, people who won't take step number one never take step number two. You see, she had come to me with an impossible dream. Her dream was that nice Mr. Ziegler was going to solve all of her problems, and she would live happily ever after. Well, folks, I got news for you. I can't solve her problems. I can't solve your problems. But I will give you some steps that I'll absolutely, definitely, and positively will work for you, as it worked eventually for her. I said, well, ma'am, let me tell you something. Unless you're willing to take step number one right now, it's been nice talking with you. She angrily opened her notebook. Before we got through, there were 22 things she liked about her job. Not only did they pay her for working there, they paid her above average. She had 3 weeks vacation with pay. She had a retirement program. She was in on profit sharing. She had health insurance, life insurance, and accident insurance. She lived less than 10 minutes from home. She was in on management decisions. The company sent her to 3 seminars a year to be paid for. She had her own private office and parking place. 22 things that she liked about her job. Now I said, ma'am, when you get home tonight, everything is finished. Get off in a room right by yourself, close the doors, change one word from I like my job to I love my job. Get in front of that mirror, and folks, I cannot say this strongly enough, but I'm going to try. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Look yourself in the eye, and with excitement and enthusiasm, say, I love my job because they pay me for working there. I love my job because they pay me above average for working there. I love my job because I have a wonderful insurance program. I love my job before every one of the statements. You will sleep better that night. You see, there's something hidden in what I'm saying to you now. When she says, I like my job, she's really saying, I'm grateful for my job. And of all of the emotions we can have, according to Hans Selye, the #1 stress specialist in America, the healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude. I said, you go down that list. I like my job. I love my job, rather. That is a way of gratitude. You'll sleep better the first night. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, get back in front of the mirror just before you go to work. Get back in front of the mirror and repeat the process again with excitement and enthusiasm. I love my job because, and take the list with you. Because the reality is, you see, you will have started to change from a fault finder to a good finder. Some people do really find fault like there's a reward for it. They really do. Take the list with you, and you will be able to add to that list, absolutely guaranteed. Do this every morning and every night, and you will have an astonishing recovery from this advanced case of stinking thinking. Now, I didn't say that to her, but I'm saying it to you. That's what it was. It was an advanced case of stinking thinking. Well, 6 weeks later, I was back in Birmingham, Alabama. I was doing a follow-up sales seminar. Now, the lady was not in sales, but she had been listening to my tapes. She had been listening to Automobile University, and she had discovered that everybody sells. Everybody who will ever hear this is in selling. Whether you're a school teacher, a civil service worker, a military personnel, an executive secretary, it doesn't make any difference what you do, you sell every day of your life. There she was at the sales seminar, seated on the front row, grinning so wide she could have eaten a banana sideways. I'm telling you, you're talking about somebody that was excited. She was turned on. I said, well, how you doing? She grinned even more broadly and said, Mr. Ziegler, I'm doing wonderfully well, and thank you for asking. She said, you cannot believe how much those people down there have changed. I got a lid on the line, folks. You're not going to change anybody else till you change you. Everything really does begin with you. Now, you see, the unfortunate thing, this lady had been raised in a very negative environment. First, her parents had told her that she'd never amount to anything. They had said, you know, you're always late, you're always sloppy, why can't you be like your brother or your sister or whatever? When she got married, her husband had continued it, and so her self-talk had become completely negative. Everything that she said about herself was negative. Like Dad said, I'll never amount to anything. Or like my husband says, I can't do anything right. But when she started changing the input, then some radical change.
What's up, Fire Nation? Another bonus episode coming your way. This one was a great chat. I had a lot of fun with Terry Wilson. Terry is a serial entrepreneur who offers entrepreneurs and solopreneurs the tools, training, and technology needed to earn and enjoy more. For the past 13 years, he's helped thousands of hungry individuals discover their thing, develop the skills to do it, and be given a strategy to deliver it to market and produce value. Terry has a weekly podcast that can be heard on iTunes, Stitcher, and at terrywilson3.com. He also wrote a book called You Are Worth More, which you can check out at youareworthmorebook.com. We have a lot of fun in this episode, Fire Nation. I truly hope you enjoy. It's hard. It is hard work to achieve uncommon success. But you know what else is hard, Terry? Being broke.
You better believe that.
Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to support your loved ones, not being able to support yourself, not being able to get up in the morning and do something that you want to do, but doing something you have to do. That's hard too. So Terry, my call to action for everybody here is choose your hard. Like back in 2012, it was hard. I spent 32 years of my life doing hard work and making the wrong decision on choosing my hard. I was going down the wrong path. I wasn't having any success. But then I flipped it and I said, you know what? Building this business, Entrepreneurs on Fire, it's going to be hard work. But the alternative is hard too. So I choose the hard of building a life of freedom, of building a life of choice, of building a life of uncommon success. And that's my call to action to everybody hearing our voices today. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Boy, I love that. You know, because there's a high cost of low living. And sometimes we think that, you know, we're just going to get out of this easy by taking the path of least resistance. And boy, sometimes the end of that path is just a tiger. I'm telling you, brother, I'm telling you.
Identify your big idea, not be a weak, pale imitation of somebody else's big idea, which most people do. They're like, oh, look at what Terry's doing. He's so successful. Look what John's doing. I'll just copy them. And then you wonder why you fail, because you're a weak, pale imitation of those people and you will never win as a result. You need to come up with your big idea, your zone of fire, and wake up every day on fire, living that life. That is the life that you deserve. Because what at the end of the day do we really want? Freedom. The ability to wake up and do what we want, where we want to do it, with whom we want to do it with. If you have those three things, what more is there in life? And you can give yourself that gift. Just take it.
Which is identifying, why are you here? You know, I like to say it this way. You're not a cosmic accident. You didn't show up on planet Earth because lightning struck a mud puddle billions of years later and you crawled out. You're a significant person with a significant reason for being here. There's a reason for you to be here. And once you identify that big idea, as John just said it, life becomes, oh my gosh, becomes unimaginable. Give us another. Go ahead.
Just on that point real quick. I mean, I think it's so key for people to understand this, like what Terry is just sharing. There is so much wisdom out there in this world, but there's also so much noise and it's chaotic. And sometimes it's so hard to really cut through all of this and to really get to the meat and potatoes, to really get down to what matters.
Does anyone know Terry's story, what Terry did?
I do.
So Terry sold musical instruments, sold pianos, right? And what was it? Was it 9/11 that created the problem?
Yeah.
9/11 creates a problem. Nobody wants to go. There's no money in town anymore. It's a brick and mortar store. Some woman comes up to him in church, some older woman, and she's like, I was thinking about your problem, and the Lord told me you should sell them on the computer. Sell your pianos on the computer. And Terry's like, that's a great idea. I got to get out of here because you're crazy. So, of course, he does it in that sweet way where he says, oh, bless your heart. And
Bless your
he
heart.
thinks about it. And then he's like, you know, he told me about the story about, you know, the guy, it's a flood and, you know, you should get out. No, the Lord's going to save me. And at the end, he goes to God and says, why didn't you save me? He's like, I did. You know, I tried. I sent you the news report. I sent you a helicopter. You know. So Terry takes that and he's like, God's telling me what to do here, right? So that was the message. I should sell these things online. His first thought when the woman tells him that is, how am I gonna, because she said her grandson sold CDs.
On eBay.
Yeah, Terry's like, how am I, you could just I can't put a stamp on a piano. This is crazy.
Drop it in the mailbox.
Yeah, so the next day, right? The next day he starts sells them out in a week. So he doesn't think about, he doesn't latch on to his idea of I can't ship these things cheaply, right? He just goes past that. He goes, well, what's my first solution? My first solution is I got to sell these things. That's all he's thinking about. He sells out his whole inventory in a week. Then the problem comes to him. How do I get rid of these things? I've now sold them. How do I deliver them? So what would you guys have done?
Hire a U-Haul and drive them out there.
Yeah, that's what Terry did. Terry got a truck and just was like, well, I'm gonna take my brother-in-law. We're gonna go around the country. We're going everywhere. And he delivered pianos for 2 weeks. That's amazing. And then, then he's like, oh, and the next thing is I talked to...
Welcome to TerryWilson3.com, home of TW3. Are you ready to take your money, business, and life to the next level? You are worth more, and you're about to hear how and why. So buckle up and listen up as we journey to the next level. Please welcome your guys to reach your goals, the TW3 family.
What's up, everybody? Me and Reagan's got a little song we want to play for you. That's right. That's right. In an hour from now.
Here's the thing. I've been talking some trash with some Duke friends of mine, and the thing
Which you should.
And the thing is, we're probably not going to win tonight.
Maybe, maybe not.
It's okay.
It's okay. We beat Duke.
We already won.
We won.
We already won.
We won Saturday night.
His last home game, stomped. His last tournament game, stomped. All right? Coach K, tarnishing his legacy.
We
Caleb
sent
Love.
that man into retirement.
Caleb Love, the point guard for UNC. He's the new head coach of Duke. he owns that team now.
Yeah. If you're a Duke fan out there, you can just call Caleb.
No, I did
Coach.
see, to Coach K's credit, great coach. Everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah.
Ton of respect.
That's the reason we hate him.
Yeah, we all know he's a great coach. He got a ton of titles. I did see he had a really good word for Baycott, who's the center for UNC.
Yeah.
And he was basically just like, hey, you were my number one for the entire year, like number one student, number one athlete. And he's like, so you're gonna go number one overall. He was like, right. Like it was like a cool little moment after the game. So
Yeah.
give Coach K his respects. Great coach.
But glad to see him retire.
But man, did I love his last two games with us. Oh man, that was good.
Well, I would love to see the headlines tomorrow say Hubert Davis beats Duke twice and wins a national championship in his first year of coaching.
It's hard to have a better first season as a head coach.
I don't see
think
how
you
else
can,
you could.
actually.
That is just so awesome. Congratulations to Hubert Davis and his family, and congratulations to. I found this out. This probably means nothing to you, but as a child growing up, when I was just going in middle school, I went to basketball camp. As you know, one of the people I got to meet was Jeff Lebo, the guard for North Carolina at that time, and
He's a short guy, isn't he?
he's a short 6 foot. I mean, he's barely 6 foot if he's that, out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And he's just a smart basketball player, could call the plays, and he just ran the floor for Dean Smith back in the day. And I didn't know until Kenny Smith was talking about it on the program the other night that Jeff Lebo is one of the assistant coaches.
Yeah, he's the AC now. That's cool.
And I was like, holy cow, it's like a family reunion. You got Hubert Davis, which I grew up watching, Jeff Lebo, of course, Sean May's over there, which he came a little later. I recognized him on the bench. But, man.
I would say at this point, like 50% of the staff over at UNC personally. Met them all.
I mean, it's just awesome.
That's pretty cool.
This is great stuff. Well, guys, check it out. This month, April 30th, Reagan and I will be in Orlando, Florida. If you want to come out and see us, hang out, see what these tools can do for you that we talk about on this podcast all the time, you need to be down there. Chris Miller is the host. Miller Time down there in High Life headquarters, and he's going to have a room, he says, of 50 people. He says, can I get more than 25? I said, Miller Time, you can do whatever you got to do. So he's going to have a ton of small business owners, medium-sized business owners, independent salespeople, but he's going to be there. If you want to go and sign up, just go over to TerryWilson3.com, and it is, 541 Conference. 541 Conference. So that's TerryWilson3.com/541. Those are the numbers. Conference, and the first one is April 30th. Then in May 18th we'll be in Spartanburg. Scott Batson is going to be hosting that one. June 11th we're out in Houston, Texas. I wonder who's going to be hosting that. Mr. Greenbacks himself is going to be in town. And then we got July and August some spaces, but we're not going to announce those yet because we haven't landed on that. And then September 13th we're ready to announce that. We're out in San Antonio. Out there,
Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. We're going to be out there with Miss Spelling Bee. She's going to be checking on the spelling. Why, River's not here. Reagan, why do they want to come to the conference?
Well, we're going to be there.
Well, there you go.
That's all you need.
That's all you need right there.
No, our feedback always after our conferences is people get a lot of value. We said it, I think, last week, but like we've always run the podcast, not the podcast. Well, I guess the podcast too, but we've always run the conferences kind of at a negative. We don't do it to make money. We do it because we know it works. You know, giving you real world examples, putting you in front of real people, real networking. And so now that we've kind of split it up and it's not just in Greenville for 3 days a year, we're coming to your city, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You better be there.
Yeah, it's cheaper. You don't have to fly. You probably, if you're close enough, you don't even have to get a hotel room.
Yep.
You just get out there. It's $100, and you're going to have a CRM, a marketing system, a complete marketing platform, a system that's going to manage all of your business all in one box. You're going to be given $3,500 worth of software. You're going to be given $500 worth of leads. We're going to put it in that system for you. We're going to show you how to use it. You're going to be using it in real time. You're going to be able to use it after we leave for a trial period. You get to keep the leads.
Yep.
Okay. If you don't want the software, you turn it down. Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
But I have a feeling, and you and I have done price comparison. We've priced our stuff independently, all the various components. We've priced it out. We're very competitive. But beyond that, let's say we were the same price as something. Why would you want to look at this? Why would you want to give it a chance? Because it's all integrated. You don't have to patch things together. I mean, back when I had WordPress over here, I had MailChimp over here, I had this texting system over here, and I was having to use a company called Zapier to get it all tied together. And it's very convoluted, and just one of those components, just one of them, make an update. It's like a domino effect. Everything else.
I would say the other thing that's really valuable for what we do is the amount of the various business owners that we have already kind of integrated into our business. You can take our app and you can go a million different ways with it. You can take our system, but what I like about it, and I think is more applicable, is the training that comes with it. We get a lot of guys that come from either insurance or real estate, but we also get a lot of guys that come from very niche markets. And it's really cool when we can, even with the niche guys, we go, okay, come to our Wednesday night training, and we go, here's Mark, here's Chris. We got all these people. This is what they're doing in their systems. We go real world illustration, and that's very similar to how our conferences go.
Yes,
it's constantly we're calling on the people. It's like, what do you do? What are you looking to do? Okay, here's the solution, and then we break it down on screen, and then it's a back and forth.
Yeah,
and guarantee. Every question may not be for you, but out of the hundreds of questions that get asked, I guarantee you'll take some of it away. And you go, hey, I could use that for my business. Oh, I'm not even close to this guy. We're not even in the same market. Nobody's doing this. You see that time and time again, and that's why we do it.
And what we're talking about tonight is really a system. One of the things that the values that we present people is a marketing strategy, system, model, a template to go by.
Yep.
Those are some of the things that we don't talk about maybe a lot, but we've got all these independent components. We have all this training. We have all these different people in different markets. But as you know, tons and tons of business owners are trying, or they're doing this thing about going remote, because more and more people, I mean, unless you just have to have a retail spot or have to have an office, more and more people want to work remote because it's proven you're more efficient.
Yep.
You're way more effective. You're happier.
Yeah.
And so, it's sort of apropos, me and you are both big Tar Heel fans, but there's something to be said about having a model that is duplicatable and it's proven, because what did Roy Williams do? He duplicated Dean Smith. And what is Hubert Davis doing?
Yep.
He's duplicating Roy Williams. There's a legacy there. There's a system. There's a model. And that's one of the beautiful things about coming to the conference, getting our system and learning some of these tools. And tonight, I'm interviewing a guy that literally took a business that I don't know has ever been remote. And he's used more than our tools, more than the technology. He uses some of it. Some of it he uses other components. But he he even talked on the interview here how after I've seen some of these new components you got, I'll be switching over. I mean, that's the thing we've always said, that, the strength in our business was our training and our techniques, some of our technology. And I was very open. I was like, there's some products out here I actually spend more money and use Calendly rather than the calendar system in my own CRM. I don't do that anymore. Yeah. There is not one component I have to apologize for or say, there's nothing better than any individual component we have. So we got that shored up. But what's neat is, would you believe someone in the energy sector, as basically a power company, has taken their business and made it remote using the techniques that we're using?
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed they go remote.
That is so foreign. And so here,
business I would have guessed.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to get in a interview here with Matt Fox here in just a second. And my my admonition to everyone out here is, if you're a business owner, unless you're a restaurant, and even a lot of restaurants are going, as far
DoorDash, delivery,
yeah. So there's just everything. Just about every business, not all, but a lot of businesses can have a remote component to it. I'll put it that way.
Well, we see after 2020, I think the shot was when everybody had to go home. Whether you agree they should have or not, they went home. That's what happened. And then we saw productivity go through. When they started tracking the numbers, sales were still going up for most companies. Their productivity levels, their overhead was cheaper because they're no longer having to pay for an office space for their employees. So the trend shows us, and people tended to like it too. Your employees tended to be happier because now, and I can speak to this at least, when I'm interviewing people for an actual salary job, most of the time their biggest question is, well, is it remote?
Yeah.
Is it a hybrid?
They're not even asking about the money.
Yeah, it's not even a question. It's like, because they're used to, and now that they've become accustomed to, I can still get everything that was required of me done for my job. Why do I need to come to an office to do it?
That friction that most people go through from going into an office to remote has already been dealt with through COVID. Mm-hmm. Everybody was forced into having, because I don't think a lot of people would have been scared to do that. It didn't register that this is actually a viable way of doing business.
I think there was a big fear from probably a lot of management and business owners that your productivity goes down when you send people and you can no longer look over the shoulder. But you can argue two different cases, but I would probably make the case that studies show most people are pretty, they're pretty responsible. They want to be good employees.
They want to be
good
job. And here's the thing: if a business can tie a production component to the compensation, not fully, but in some ways, you're going to be, it's in everyone's best interest. You want to align your interest with your team members' interest.
And that's hard to do. It's
hard to do, but if you can figure out a way to do it, make them stakeholders rather than just, employees, it's a win-win-win, and everybody enjoys it at that point. And that's why I've always enjoyed sales, because even though I wasn't the business owner, I had a stake in the business because, that I got a commission.
Yep. Well, you can see it. And that's what I like about our business, because I've talked to some of my friends that work commission jobs. And one of the places, he hit a commission cap, which I didn't realize was even a thing.
Yeah.
But we were joking about it. And I was like, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? He's like, I'm going to show up late. I'm not going to.
Why would you?
I'm like, well, why would you? You're not going to make any more money for making a sale. Now you're just wasting your time.
That's what I'm saying. That is just such a stupid business model to do that. Well, guys, we're going to get into that interview when Reagan and I get back right after this. But just to reiterate, we got April 30th in Orlando, Florida, May 18th in Spartanburg, South Carolina, June 11th in Houston, Texas, and September the 13th in San Antonio, Texas. So get over to terrywilson3.com/541 conference and get signed up now, because most of these only have 25 seats. Now, Miller Time's going to shoot it up here a little bit. He's going to go for he's going for 50 because it wouldn't be High Life headquarters if it didn't have 50. But when we get back, I get right into that interview right after this. So here are some reviews of members who are using the brand new TW3 app.
Well, you kind of outdid yourself on this application. Man, there are some nice bells and whistles in here. This thing is able to do and function in ways that combine a number of different applications together can seamlessly communicate. It's integrated. If you look at my app, you'll say, here's an example of somebody that just got in here and started playing around. No, it's fun, man. It is a fantastic application. And, you know, the funnels, the tracking system, you know, the opportunity, the CRM is all, I love it. It's beautiful. And one thing, you know, it just takes some time. And then once you do it over and over again, it becomes easier, you know. So the more time you spend working at it, the easier it gets.
To harness the power of the new TW3 app, go to TerryWilson3.com today or call, text, or email your authorized TW3 member.
Here's your host, Reagan Wilson.
Hey, everybody. You're listening to the TW3 podcast. This is episode 516. We've got an interview with Matt Fox, him and my dad going back and forth. So let's go ahead and get into that.
There's some functionality just from what I've seen in some of the trainings. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I need. But I'm just so lost. It's almost like I just need to start from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, the system is completely different than when you started. I mean, I think you've been with us a few years, haven't you?
2018.
Yeah, I thought. And how did you come in?
I had actually come to the website, and then I was referred to somebody, and I can't even remember his name now. I think he's long gone or what have you. But I was at a point in our business where I was looking at going from a 3,000 square foot office to a 20,000 square foot office, and incurring all of that additional headache, and then hiring on another 150 agents to work on the floor. And somebody approached me and said, well, why can't I do this from home? And being a control freak, I just was like, well, no, you know, we need to make sure that you're actually working and all that. So I started looking at it and thinking about it. And I thought, well, if I'm going to add 150 new agents, what's my circle of influence? I mean, I'm not going to have somebody that's going to drive 5 hours to come to work every day. So I'm limited within the circumference of the immediate area. And so I thought there's got to be a lot of talented people across the United States or even globally that I could offer an opportunity. And so when I saw TW3 and the way that the platform was set up, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. And so I modeled our business a lot after the same processes that TW3 uses in order to build. And now we have agents all over the place. I mean, Singapore, Costa Rica, Canada, Mexico, Peru, and across the United States. So as long as you've got a computer, a good internet connection, and a USB headset, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Now we just need to get you plugged in and trained.
Yeah.
And so one of the challenges that I think that I face personally in business is that turnover of people. And I think that's true for a lot of businesses. You've got those negative people that, you know, just, they don't see the vision. And then you get some people that have the vision, they have the drive, but then they don't have the economic stability to see it through.
Yeah.
And so there are always those challenges.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. I mean, it's been my experience that you basically have to go through 100 reps, it seems like, to find one really rock star. And you have to go through 100 prospects to typically get 25. That's been our numbers, 25 qualified. Now the 25 qualified, 3 of them you pick. So you can see the numbers real quick. So the only way to scale a business is really scale your prospecting processes and just be speaking and presenting and showing to a lot of people. And it's taken me personally, going on 14 years this July. We've got a tremendous membership, a lot of people. And like you, I think this is the first time you and I have even spoken one-on-one, but I've seen you and seen your post and talked casually, but just one-on-one.
Right.
So we got a lot of people, but I can tell you, out of all of the people, we've got maybe 20 people that I know on a first name basis, and we talk, and they're sort of the inner circle, and it just takes a minute to build that. But it is true, you have to do that. And it's just, even the traditional brick and mortar type businesses, I'm working with a very well-established 150-year-old financial institution. And we're doing a lot of recruiting for them. Now you would think, well, they've already got processes and they've got ways of, they've been around for 150 years. They're AAA bonded, yada, yada. They got every credential and certification you could have in that particular industry to show their strength and financial strength. Yet in these times, they're finding it the most challenging thing they have is finding qualified, highly motivated, dependable people that they can put in a situation where they can work, hybrid. They call it hybrid. You have to come in the office some, but most of it's from home. And they offer a salary, they offer a pension, they offer a 401k, they offer all of these things. And you would think, well, people would just be lining up outside the door. Well, they're not, so having our system and using it the way you have is what we're sort of training and teaching them how to. And they've got over 900 agencies throughout the entire U.S. But if they want to grow, they gotta put butts in the seats of those agencies. Some of those agencies, quite frankly, are hollow. They only got 2 or 3 agents in them, and they should be to be qualified as an agency. They want 25 minimum people there. So it's a challenge now, and that's why these tools and these strategies with these tools are so needed. And it's a great time to be. I don't know if you've heard my story about the gold rush. Have I told you that story?
No.
Well, you may have heard it or not. I don't know. But in the late mid 1800s, when the gold rush took place and everyone was going out west in the search of gold, there were 2 types of people going out there that got into 2 separate types of business. One were prospecting for gold, and the others were equipping the prospectors to prospect for gold. The prospectors, only about 3%, if you look at the numbers, actually made it equitable. It actually made money. By the time you go through the expenses and everything they went through and all of that, only 3% showed a profit. But the people who equipped the prospectors, 98% of them made money. And so I always tell people, now is the time, now is the season. If you've got a way to equip people that are already in a business, I'm not trying to convince you to get in the gold business, the silver business, or whatever. I'm convincing you that the best time to be an asset, to be a resource for people that's already motivated, equipped, and headed that way, now's the time. It's another quote unquote gold rush. And the gold rush
definitely would have been one of those equipping people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where the numbers are. And it's a very sustainable business to be in that position. And what started this business wasn't that we got into business to sell things. We got into business because of necessity. You've probably heard my story. I was thrown out of a business I loved and knew in an industry that I was raised in because I'm a product of the church. So music is so important to the church world, especially in my tradition. And so I grew up in that. And so to be able to do that professionally in another aspect of it was just immensely rewarding. And then when 08, 07, 08 happened, it just threw me for a loop psychologically, financially, and everything else. So TW3 was born out of, okay, how do I pick up the pieces and get into a completely new industry I know nothing about? And it came apparent to me real quick. It doesn't matter what I'm selling. I could be selling bags of sand as long as I have enough people to talk to. I mean, the sizzle is not the product. I could sell anything. I could sell books, which I do. I sell financial products, which I do. I sell lending, which I do. I sell jobs, which I do. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to being able to get in front of those people. And so once I was able to do that and master it in just a few tools, well, then naturally I became a resource for other people that was in that industry and saying, hey, how are you doing that? Well, let me show you. Well, will you sell that to me? Yeah. And it's boom. So I think you're definitely on the right path, Matt. I like your model, doing it remote and vertically integrating your interest with theirs.
Yeah, I'm processing about 200 applicants a month, which allows me to speak to about 8 to 10 people a day to really go through all of that. And I think a lot of times people have this misconception that I want everybody in my business. And I don't. In fact, I try to deter them.
There you go.
As kind of the rip up the check and takeaway. It's like, look, if you are not dedicated to do what it takes to see this through to the end, then just look, Walmart's looking for somebody to hand out smiley face stickers.
That's right. That's exactly right. No, that's good psychology. Yeah.
But you still get those people. I look at the call reports. I look at, the numbers, and you get, and especially when you have people that are paying for a license for access to certain things, they will cull themselves out because they're not going to continue to pay for things they're not using, or it's not creating a return. And so that becomes very challenging in that regards. And I've tried it to where I've charged people huge amounts of money. I've given everybody everything carte blanche, and everything else in between. And believe it or not, the people that were given everything did zero.
Yeah.
Because they had no skin in the game.
That's right.
The people that paid more were at least more attentive and involved. And so it's really, I think where I find some of those challenges today is keeping that price point at a place to where the setup is one rate, but then maybe through a firm or some kind of company like that where they will actually finance the initial cost and setup.
Oh, that's the trick. So that's what we did. Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly battling that. I'm giving you an example. I had 2 people yesterday that completed the course, signed off on it. I mean, and when they sign a contract, it's a 30-page fine print contract. It's not some 2-page schleppy thing.
Yeah.
And they went through all of the training and then signed another document saying they completed, they did everything, went through the whole mess. And then 30 days later, filed a chargeback with a credit card.
Yeah.
Saying they never received anything, which is just, and so now I've got to spend the next 90 days dinking with it.
Yeah. Nah, I totally get it. We had some of that early on. There's some processes that you can do, of course, to protect yourself a little bit more. But ultimately, if someone's going to lie and be deceptive just for that, you can't do anything other than just prove, you have conveyed that which you have promised and conveyed it in the way that was agreed upon contractually. And you will have to fuss with it. But at the end of the day, we have found you'll get your money back through the credit card company, but it's just that hassle. One of the things we've added to the terms, which you probably have as well, I don't know, but if that happens, we then assess a fee to have to go through that hassle as well that we're going to add to what they're going to be charged.
Their contract says that it will be assessed at 200%.
Yeah. But I will tell you, one of the things that's helped us and other members is the financing, that TW3 Easy Pay that we offer. And one of the things you could consider doing is bundling a TW3 package with your system. And what that would do is give your client a marketing system to generate leads and additional training to generate for your purposes. But it would also give you a way of leveraging some financing. And for instance, we can, based on credit, but you can get down to as low as 4.9, I think, or 3.9 out and go out to 60 months. So we have some packages that we're putting together that's going to be like an elite package with this and that and the other. And it might be a $7,000-$8,000 invoice, but they're only paying, maybe less than $100 a month. So, which helps.
That is, you end up getting what, 90% of that up front?
You get 100% of that up front. The finance company is 100% finance. Now there is some origination fees and financing fees, which we can talk off the interview later, that you have to account for. That's part of the terms. But it's a way of using our system, our platform, and our financing to help promote your interest as well.
Cool.
Yeah. And
it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. All it is a short, sweet and simple online, and it's a soft credit pull. I mean, it doesn't ding up anyone's credit. It doesn't do anything. It's just a quick overview. And then based on the state that they're coming from, it's shopped out with about 40 different lenders. And some of them are really aggressive lenders and do well. But, if it's a poor credit, then they're going to get, offers that reflect that. So now we do have part of our financing plan is we do guarantee an approval, but if it goes under what's called a GI, guaranteed issued plan, that means they get our SRT package, and they only get that, and it's an in-house financing. It's basically us doing it, so it wouldn't cover anything that you're doing. It'd just be that SRT package. So I want to be clear.
So then you're just covering you're covering it in-house.
We're covering it in-house. We take a down payment of I believe it's $297. I believe it's either $250 or $297. Go over to tw3easypay.com and it'll tell you exactly. But it's around that. It's either $250 or $297. And what happens is the rep is capturing all of that and then pays us $150. They maintain $150. And then the client pays their regular admin fees of $150 every month. There's no interest. There's no anything. They're just paying that $150, which is your admin fee.
Right.
And then once they make their first sale, because an SRT is just someone that's selling our platform. Once they make their first sale, you capture the commissions off that first sale, which is either going to be $750, $1,500, or excuse me, $750, $1,000, or $1,750, and you capture the amount of the SRT package that wasn't paid to you initially, and then you pay them any difference if there is. So they're basically financing the beginner package with the production of them selling product. But it's a great way to get people that are motivated, that do express an interest and have the character and competency to do something. To get them involved if you want to. But I just wanted to round that off and explain that to people that's listening to this, how that works.
Awesome. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself. We've got about 10 more minutes here. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into business? Why did you start into business? What's a little bit about your background?
So I've been in the energy sector since 1995, more around the ESCO side of the business, which dealt with uh, primarily commercial buildings, changing out their lighting. You went from a T12 to a T5, and then eventually LED lighting came about. Motor controls, solar, all of those ancillary services that provide reduction in usage. And it wasn't until about 2002 when deregulation came about in Texas, where we used to give the electric bill to a brokerage, and they would in turn hopefully lower the rate and make the ROI of what we were doing look good. So that was a good fit. But after a few years of this, I realized we're giving away the farm. And so in 2007, I formed True Power and was immediately faced with the same dilemma that every brokerage in America is faced with, and that is, how do you scale?
Yeah.
And just because of the nature of the business, for every relationship that you have with a supplier of utility, they send you a matrix sheet every day that has several hundred different variables based on usage and rates, and whether you're residential or commercial. And so if you have a relationship with 2 or 3 suppliers, you're getting 2, 3 spreadsheets every day. And it could take you 90 minutes to facilitate a contract with a customer, going through the paperwork and the contracts and everything. So it wasn't until 2015 that I saw a Trivago commercial. And I thought, why hasn't somebody done that
Ding, 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 ding,
for the
ding.
energy sector?
Yeah.
And so I went and looked for it. It didn't exist.
Wow.
So I thought, I'm going to build it. And back then I was living in a home that was a 9-bedroom, 7,000 square feet on, 7 acres. And the expenses were rather large. I was spending $30,000 a month in expenditures. And I decided to put some time aside and focus solely on programming this new idea. And I went through 2 years and a marriage building this, but ultimately now we have a platform that deals with the entire United States and Canada and all the deregulated markets with over 110 suppliers nationwide. Everything is completely automated. And so what takes an agent virtually a click of a button to process millions of data points would take their competitor. I mean, they're not going to open up 110 spreadsheets every day to try and figure out what's the best deal. And so that gives us a really distinct advantage. Going into COVID, there was something that was happening in the industry where everybody was getting the PPP loans, SBA loans, merchant cash advance loans, looking for any way to inject capital into their business to get through the pandemic. And one of the ancillary services that we had was a utility audit, which was a carryover from the old company. I inevitably sold that company. They didn't want the auditing division, so I moved it over much later to True Power, which has been really kind of a godsend. So we decided to change things up because of the pandemic and use the utility audit as the door opener, and discovered that it's a much softer, friendlier, easier approach. The demeanor of the customer is uniquely different. They're not trying to run away from you because you're providing value, where we actually go backwards 4 years, identifying those errors that are not only on the bill, but the errors that are not visible to anybody that are below the bill, because we're tied in with the utilities and all of the suppliers. And we did as much business last year as we did the 5 years previous. So the only regret I have is that we didn't make that change 15 years ago. But it's been really beneficial and helping a lot of people. And working around that core ethic of the company is to, conduct business with integrity. Don't lie to people. And if it's not good for the customer, then just don't do it. So it's been a long road, but a good road. And fortunately for our business, when the economy is good, our business is good. When the economy is bad, our business is great. And I think it's about to get even more great. But, things like insurance and a lot of those things that do have residual income, when times get tight, that's the first thing that people drop. They'll cut back on their insurance. They'll cut back. They may even skip a car payment or a mortgage or something else. But it doesn't matter how fast your internet is if the electric gets turned off. Right?
That's right.
So that's the one thing that they'll keep live no matter what.
That is
so
true.
It's been some challenges, but also very rewarding for a lot of people.
So if I understand you correctly, the value you're bringing to consumers is you have a network of power companies, utility companies that you work with, and you go in and do an assessment of their billing and what they're paying, and then shop it out to make sure they're getting the best rate. And if they're not able to get them a better rate through maybe a different supplier, or is that what, am I understanding correctly?
Yeah. So we deal with both residential and commercial. The utility audit is not available for the residential yet, just because it costs so much. But going backwards up to 4 years, identifying those errors and actually getting a refund. So it's getting the commercial customer money back.
Nice.
Once we have that bill, then it also affords us an opportunity to plug that information into the pricing platform. It will instantly analyze and create a 4-page comprehensive report as to what additional savings we can provide that customer at the supplier level moving forward. So it is going to show comparison against other suppliers, monthly, annual contractual savings, a budget analysis so they can see what they paid each month for the past 12 months compared to what it could look like. And then if their volume is large enough, we have a reverse auction tool in the platform. So the suppliers actually log in and they compete against each other, driving the price even lower, which is good for the customer. It's good for the supplier because they know that if they're the winner, they get a customer. And that's like a free CD.
Yeah.
So, it's good for everybody all the way around.
Nice. So if you're a business owner out there, retail, restaurant, manufacturer, anyone in a commercial setting, they need to contact you. And how do they do that, Matt?
They can call the main line, 833-767-7677, or they can just simply go to truepower.com, which is TRUPOWUR.com. There is no E's in the name. There's no ego. It's all about you.
I love it.
TRUPOWUR. So they can go there, and in the public facing side of the website, there's a place for both residential and commercial. Now, we do have a promotion that's going on right now for residential. If you look up your rate, and if the rate we have is not lower, or I should say, if the rate you have is lower than what we offer, then we will give you $500 in restaurant cash. If the rate we have is lower than what you're paying, we'd like for you to take advantage of it and save some money. But either way, you win.
Nice. Well, guys, if you've been to the pump, you're getting squeezed everywhere. So why not save some money? You can't control what they're charging for gas, but it sounds like you got some opportunity here to maybe save money elsewhere. And for someone who drives a Tesla, I'm always looking at the meter because that's how I fill up. So we'll definitely check that out. So, Matt, it was great to have you on tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that you bring to the community as well.
I appreciate that, brother. All right, Reagan. Chapter 1. The 4 words that changed everything. Another day, another dollar. I just clocked in and was super excited. I finally felt like an adult. For the first time in my life, I was working for someone that wasn't a family member.
Hi, I'm Haven, and Tara Wilson's my dad. And The reason why I think I like this is it teaches me not only to like earn money and work when I get older, how to earn it. It also teaches me how my dad used to live in the past, what he did, what was his first job, like the reason why he came into this podcast speakers. So that's why I think I like his podcast and this audiobook.
Get the audio version of You Are Worth More at coachwithtw3.com. That's coachwithtw3.com. Get the first 2 chapters for free.
Here's your host, Reagan Wilson.
Welcome back, everybody. That was a fantastic interview with Matt. Yeah, that's mainly our show today. If you missed it in the beginning, we did announce some dates here. April 30th, we're going to be in Orlando, Florida. May 18th, Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'll see if I can make it out to that one. June 11th, we're going to be in Houston, or at least we're going to try and be. We're still nailing down that date, right?
We're there.
We're there. Okay, so we're there June 11th in Houston.
Yeah.
And then September 13th, we're going to be in San Antonio, Texas. So we'd love to see you guys come out there and join us. If you want to look at more details, more information, or look at those tickets, you can get at 5for1conference.com. That's the number, 5for1conference.com. This is Reagan.
It's TerryWilson3.com/541conference.
Oh.
Yeah, Terry Wilson. It's an extension on my website. So.
I tried to go with memory, but we didn't open up a domain just for that. So now you know. That's how that works.
Yep, TerryWilson3.com/541. And
that's it.
That's it. TerryWilson3.com/541conference.
TerryWilson3.com/541.
Now, put that paper down. Let's go watch the Tar Heels play.
Let's go watch the game.
Thank you for listening to our show today. If you have any questions or would like to speak with us about your goals, then please call or text us at 864-507-9696. Reach out to us online at terrywilson3.com.